I can't believe they're charging us triple for this one drug that used to be free. You know how the saying goes, ladies and gentlemen, ready your wallets.
Pfizer is setting a high price for a 5-day course of the COVID drug Paxlovid. It's more than double the price that the U.S. government has previously paid. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Yahoo Finance's Anjali Kamlani is here with the details. And to put this in perspective for us now, the U.S. government just said it was selling back or giving back these doses to Pfizer. So now we're learning what it's going to be charging for them.
That's right, Julie. And to put this in perspective, also, there were estimates from analysts earlier this week on what that potential price could be. And this falls under that sort of high that they had been looking at, more than $2,000. So right now, the cost looking at $1,390 per 5-day course. That is the list price. So the actual price will vary for individuals who have insurance and what that out-of-pocket cost will be. Pfizer is saying that they're working with these insurance companies to figure out what that could end up being. This does reflect, like you said, a more than 2x increase from what the government had been paying. But these courses are going to stay free through the end of 2023.
If you guys remember, Paxlovid is one of those amazing drugs that can help people who have COVID. And given that people who have insurance, Medicare or Medicaid, aren't going to be paying out of pocket, who cares if the price is high, right? Don't worry, that price hike of almost 3 times the initial value shouldn't worry us. By the way, if you're new here, my humor is just a little bit heavy on the sarcasm side, so get used to that. Now, how about people who are paying out of pocket? Well, then they're going to actually feel the brunt of this financial uppercut right on their chins. Now, I guess you could say that people who are insured are also getting hit, but they got a head guard on. But we got to ask the obvious question here. Why are they doing this? Well, it's no secret that they're after profits, but why so high? Why almost triple the amount? Now, before I show you guys the plausible answer, make sure you guys jumpstart this video by smashing the like button. I totally appreciate that, guys. I know how Big Pharma is not going to be happy with this content, so I'm going to need you guys to kind of help out, this amazing community that we have. So I just want to thank you guys in advance. Also, stay ahead of what you guys need to know about by subscribing to the channel and turning on all notifications. Appreciate the love, you guys.
Pfizer is slashing its guidance for the year. It's now saying that it expects about $1.45 to $1.65, and that's down from $3.25 to $3.45. And they're also expecting revenue of 58 to 61 billion, and that's down from 67 to 70 billion. And the biggest driver of this is reduced demand for their COVID products, of course, their COVID vaccine and their antiviral Paxlovid. And the company is also saying that they are going to cut costs because of this lower demand. The company expects to cut about $1 billion this year, and they're also writing down some of that inventory. The company is giving some of the Paxlovid supply back, or the U.S. government is giving it back to Pfizer. That'll be an estimated about 8 million doses of Paxlovid. But they're saying that now they're going to be able to commercialize Paxlovid for the private market going forward. So really a lot going on here, and it's what we've been expecting as the pandemic, that really emergency phase kind of winds down, and now we go into the endemic phase.
We're also going to go through a Pfizer losing a lot of money phase. Is that a thing? It may not be if this price change of Paxlovid goes through and if demand picks up for it. But given that we're talking about it, what is this Paxlovid that they're selling for almost $1,400? Well, it's no surprise that this went through clinical trials that are almost impossible to replicate. Why? Well, because they tested it on people who have never received a C-19 jab, nor did they ever get the virus in their lives.
And Joe Biden is on a treatment plan this morning after testing positive for COVID.
Yeah, there's some questions about one of the antiviral drugs that he's taking. Our verified team went through research to show you just how Paxlovid works.
We're here to verify your questions on this drug. An 11 Alive viewer asked, does Paxlovid antiviral help if you have mild symptoms? To get our answers, we went to the FDA, a new report from Pfizer, and the CDC. Here's what we found. The FDA granted Paxlovid antiviral medicine emergency use authorization back in December. As of this month, doctors and licensed pharmacists can prescribe it to you. The CDC says you should take the drug if you're in the early stages of the virus, you have mild to moderate symptoms, and you're at high risk for complications. A new report from Pfizer finds low or standard risk patients won't see much of a change in their symptoms by taking this medicine. Experts say the medicine's goal is to reduce your risk of hospitalization or dying. So we can verify, no, Paxlovid won't make much of a difference if you have mild symptoms. But if you're high risk, the medicine can protect you from developing a severe case of the disease.
The results were, of course, great, but let's be honest here. How many of us haven't gotten the virus at this point, right? You know, this drug would have been great if it was released back in like 2019, but in 2023, well, let's just say it's a little bit late to the party, right? Maybe if they could include a time machine so that people who either got the jab or the virus can either give it to their younger selves or something like that. Does Doc Brown work for Pfizer? I don't know how many of you guys watch Back to the Future, but that was one of my favorite movies. Anyway, all jokes aside, guys, why aren't new trials being done on the current state of our population? Doesn't that data matter more for these people? Because new trials probably wouldn't have the same results, right? Because the general population might not be as welcoming of a new drug that didn't go through the proper trials again. But if you ask Pfizer CEO, there's nothing to worry about here. It's kind of like how they said this during the initial, how do I call it? Hesitation? Yes, hesitation regarding the initial jabs.
I want to ask you also about a very important issue of vaccine hesitancy. Even folks who get most of their vaccines normally might be hesitant about these vaccines because they were developed so quickly. What do you tell those folks who might be saying, well, I'm going to wait a few months before I get this one?
I would tell them I wish that the situation was not so critical so that they can have the luxury to think about it. The situation is as deadly as it could be right now with the amounts of deaths or new cases that we are facing. So they need to think it twice. This is a vaccine that was developed without cutting corners from a company with 171 years of credentials. This is a vaccine that was developed in the spotlight, in the daylight, with all the data being put in servers. This is a vaccine that has been approved in the US by two separate governmental agencies, CDC and FDA, after listening to two separate independent scientific bodies. One is the FDA and the other is the ACIP for the CDC. And this is a vaccine that is getting approved by all authorities in the world. So that should say something to them. And I repeat once more, the decision not to vaccinate will not affect only your health or your life. Unfortunately, it will affect the lives of others and likely the lives of the people you love the most, which are the people that usually you are in contact with. So I think trust science.
Trust science? And who was Mr. Science again? Oh yeah, Anthony Fauci. How much do you guys trust that guy? It's hard to talk too much about this topic because, again, the algorithm's not very happy with me pushing out the facts. But, what he said, at least that last part, the part where, getting this drug wasn't just for your safety, but for the safety of others. But when the facts came out that none of these jabs could actually prevent transmission, well, then they suddenly shut their mouths. What are your thoughts on all this, guys? And do you think that the brand new spanking price of their chewable tablet is justified? I'm kidding about it being chewable tablets. But again, guys, I like to mix in a little bit of humor here and there. But make sure you guys share your opinions down below. And before I go, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for dropping a like for the video. Thank you for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the next one.